Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan. It is Thursday, November 13th, 2025, and we are tracking some truly wild contrasts today.
Absolutely. Whether it's the weather systems or, the pressure cooker that is Silicon Valley.
Speaking of atmosphere, if you're out here with us in Sacramento, you know what we're dealing with.
Oh, yeah. An atmospheric river. We've got heavy rain, potential for flooding, and a wind advisory that's running all the way through 1:00 p.m. today.
Definitely a stay inside kind of day.
It is. And what a stark contrast to the rest of the country.
A huge one. Further east, they're looking at dozens of record high temperatures, both maximum and minimums. It's like the whole country is in a thermal vice grip.
Wow. Now, let's talk balance sheets. The market saw a small pullback yesterday, but the overall optimism for the week is still really strong.
It is. The major indices took a slight dip, but the trend is holding.
Yeah, the Dow is still up over 2% since Monday, which, that shows market optimism is really rooted in future growth.
Mm-hmm. And Bitcoin just keeps on defying gravity.
It's showing real strength, closed up nearly 1% at over $102,000.
The appetite for that kind of transformative tech and, the assets that back it, it's clearly not slowing down.
Not at all. Now, before we jump into the Morningstar report, a quick word from a great sponsor, Old Glory.
If you're starting to think about holiday shopping, maybe for that techie friend or, someone in the family,
Yep.
Old Glory is definitely the place to check out. They have all this iconic music and sports fan merch that goes way beyond just a basic t-shirt.
Really great quality gifts. And for you, our listeners, you can get 15% off your entire purchase.
All you have to do is use the promo code SNARFL at checkout.
That's Old Glory, and you can find them over at oldglory.com. Now, let's connect the dots on some massive tech bets.
And why they matter to your business. We're going to start, fittingly, right at the very top.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella.
He just secured a record $96.5 million pay package for fiscal year 2025.
That is a 22% jump from last year.
It's an incredible number.
$96.5 million. That figure is almost impossible to internalize.
And we know exactly why it's that high. $84.2 million of that came directly from stock awards.
Tied to Microsoft's just stellar market performance during this whole AI boom.
Right, which drove their revenue up to an enormous $281.7 billion.
It's the ultimate validation, really, for their strategic direction.
But to understand this level of success, you really have to go back in time a bit.
You do. Back to 2019. You have to remember the intense skepticism when they first decided to invest $1 billion in OpenAI.
Which was, at the time, a non-profit venture.
And I think this is the key insight for any leaders listening today. The risk was enormous.
It was. Bill Gates himself was reportedly pretty wary of the whole thing.
He apparently told Nadella he was going to burn this $1 billion.
Burn this $1 billion. That quote just perfectly encapsulates the kind of high-stakes risk you have to be willing to take at that level.
Exactly. It was a huge, uncertain bet on a technology that really hadn't matured yet.
I know.
Now, their total investment has grown to over $13 billion.
But that 27% stake they have in OpenAI's restructured for-profit group, it's conservatively valued at $135 billion.
Just staggering. That massive reward comes directly from that counterintuitive, high-risk move.
So beyond the money, Nadella is offering some pretty specific advice for other leaders on how to navigate this AI era.
He argues it's not just a tech shift.
No, it's a business model shift and an organizational shift all at once. The real core challenge is that leaders have to learn the new production function.
Exactly. So learning how work actually gets done when a tool like Copilot is writing code or when AI is generating knowledge, that's step one.
Right. But the critical piece that he stresses is the need to unlearn old habits.
You just can't cling to legacy model.
You can't.
Okay, but that's where I kind of want to push back a little. That sounds great coming from a CEO who just banked $96 million on a long-term bet.
Sure.
But for a professional who's managing quarterly budgets, how do you actually operationalize unlearning when the old way, that profitable legacy process, is still bringing in revenue today?
Well, that is the defining tension point of this whole transition, isn't it?
It is.
Nadella's view is that if you wait until that new production function is, clearly dominant,
You've already lost.
You've already lost the game. Unlearning means you have to systematically defund, decommission, and shift resources away from those legacy processes.
And you have to do it before they stop being profitable.
That's the hard part. It requires treating your organization's adaptability as the most valuable thing your business has.
It sounds like an act of faith, really, backed by some very strong strategic foresight.
It is. Now, let's pivot to our second story, which looks at the brutal flip side of Microsoft's AI strategy.
We're talking about execution failure, a failure in the infrastructure war.
This is the messy part of the story. Microsoft was, incredibly aggressive at first.
Planning these massive AI training clusters for OpenAI, these gigantic data center campuses like Fairwater.
They were clearly all in on building the physical compute power that this revolution needs.
But then they had what the industry is calling the big pause.
Right. In Q2 of 2024, they suddenly just hit the brakes, froze over 3.5 gigawatts of planned data center capacity.
A capacity that was slated all the way through 2028. Why? Why the sudden stop?
It was a miscalculation of demand. They misjudged XPU cloud demand.
Okay, let's break that down. When we say XPU, what are we talking about?
It's the industry catch-all term for specialized accelerators. So think primarily of NVIDIA GPUs.
The chips that run and train these large AI models.
Exactly. Microsoft just failed to predict the sheer explosive scale of demand for them.
So they slowed down building their own compute engine. And the consequences were, well, they were immediate and they were dramatic.
Absolutely.
Right.
This allowed a competitor, Oracle, to essentially come in and steal the lunch that was meant for Microsoft.
So this sluggishness cost them the rumored $100 billion Stargate contract with OpenAI.
It did, because Oracle executed so much faster. Think about this comparison.
Okay.
While Microsoft's projects were still in planning, maybe early construction after 2 years, Oracle operationalized their cluster in Abilene, Texas, within months of breaking ground.
Months. What did Oracle do so much better? Was it just pouring concrete faster?
It was operational innovation and supply chain mastery.
How so?
Oracle leaned really heavily into modular data center design, prefabricated units. That let them bypass all the traditional slow construction methods.
So they treated it like a high-speed manufacturing challenge.
Exactly. Not a standard real estate venture. And Microsoft, using more traditional building methods, just couldn't match that speed.
And that speed difference is just staggering when you look at the financial toll.
It is. Stepping away from Stargate meant sacrificing an estimated $150 billion of potential gross profits over the contract.
One operational failure basically funded Oracle's entire entry into the AI factory business.
That number, $150 billion, that's the staggering cost of not unlearning your execution habits.
So now Microsoft is facing this urgent capacity crunch, and they're forced to rent GPUs from what are called neoclouds.
Yeah, let's define that term. We've seen it pop up in the sources.
So what is a neocloud, and why is this so damaging to Azure's business model?
A neocloud is essentially a smaller, more specialized cloud operator. They're often focused purely on offering high-end GPU compute.
So they bought the chips and built the capacity when Microsoft didn't.
That's right. So when Azure rents from them to resell that capacity, they're paying a near retail price for the power and hardware they should have built at wholesale cost.
So they're literally paying their competitors' supply chain margin.
Exactly. It immediately slashes their profit per compute hour, maybe by 30 to 40%.
It's described as the worst option for their margins.
It is, because it forces the giant to act like a desperate customer in its own market.
And if that wasn't complicated enough, there's a whole other layer with the hardware dynamic.
Right. Microsoft has access to OpenAI's custom chip IP, the one developed with Broadcom.
And given that OpenAI's chip trajectory looks strategically better than Microsoft's own in-house chip.
The Mayo 100 chip.
Yeah. Microsoft might very well end up using OpenAI's custom silicon to serve their models.
They're deeply reliant on this partnership for their hardware, the intelligence, even as they struggle to build the infrastructure, the body to support it.
It's a real tightrope walk between being a dominant partner and a dependent customer.
All because of those execution bottlenecks.
Fascinating. So we've talked about strategic billions and execution failures. Let's shift gears and connect those ideas to a completely different sector. Gaming.
Let's talk about Valve.
Valve is back. They are officially resurrecting the Steam machine.
That little cube-shaped gaming PC. And it's coming with a completely redesigned Steam controller.
We're expecting this to arrive in early 2026.
Now, the first Steam machine attempt back in 2015 was famously a flop.
It was. So how does this fit our theme of learning and unlearning mistakes?
Well, Valve's developers are very clear on this. The original attempt failed because getting PC games to run reliably on that Linux-based SteamOS was, well, it was a nightmare for users.
They had the hardware, but the software just wasn't ready.
Exactly. But the success of the Steam Deck since then has proven the viability of SteamOS and Proton, their compatibility layer.
So they solved the software problem first this time, which gives this new effort a much better shot.
A real shot. And the foundation is solid. Let's talk about the specs on this cube.
They are swinging for the fences in terms of performance.
They really are. The new Steam machine is running that Linux-based SteamOS. It has a semi-custom AMD Zen 4 CPU and an RDNA 3 GPU.
And Valve is claiming it's 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck.
Targeting smooth 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, using AMD's FSR upscaling.
And that compact cube design, it's about 6 inches on all sides. That's pretty bold for a 4K capable PC.
That design is driven entirely by thermal requirements.
Right.
The cube shape is necessary because it's housing a massive internal heatsink and a single custom 120 millimeter fan.
So it's a deliberate choice for efficiency and for quiet operation in a living room.
Exactly. It's built to be powerful without sounding like a jet engine is taking off.
And the controller overhaul is just as important. The original one was notoriously polarizing.
This new one incorporates all the best lessons from the Steam Deck controller.
It keeps the essential features, the dual trackpads, the 4 grip buttons.
But the critical update is the dual parallel joysticks.
What about stick drift, the plague of every modern controller?
Valve is aiming to virtually eliminate it. They're using the sophisticated sensor tech, tunneling magnetoresistance, to detect stick movement.
We don't need to get bogged down in the acronym.
No, but the benefit is clear. This significantly reduces stick drift, allows for a smaller dead zone so your controls are much tighter and they won't wear out easily.
Plus, there's that quirky addition of capacitive grip sense.
Yeah, the controller knows when you're physically holding it.
Practical applications could be, what? Instant wake up, seamless profile switching.
All of that. And add to it a solid 35 plus hours of estimated battery life, and Valve is signaling they are very serious about this second act.
A budget-friendly 4K PC alternative for the living room in 2026.
They learned their lesson from 2015, and they are ready to execute on a much more stable platform.
All right, before we wrap up today's Connecting of the Dots, we want to thank another sponsor, Skony.
Skony makes premium golf shoes. They specialize in performance and style on the course.
A fantastic gift option for the golfer in your life, especially with the holidays coming up.
And just like with Old Glory, you can get 15% off your entire purchase using promo code SNARFL at checkout.
That's Skony, SKONI.com.
So, to quickly recap our Morningstar report, we saw Satya Nadella's massive payoff, which validated his risky, long-term strategic AI bet.
And proved the immense value of organizational adaptability and, foresight.
But that success is currently being hobbled by critical infrastructure execution failures.
A $150 billion mistake that forced Microsoft to pay premium margins to its competitors.
And handed significant market share over to Oracle.
And finally, we looked at Valve, a company applying the hard-won lessons from their Steam Deck success.
For a second, and much smarter attempt at entering the living room PC market.
It all comes down to strategic foresight married with flawless execution.
Or the consequences of failing to unlearn old habits.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.